Have you ever wondered who we really are? Not just Homo sapiens, the humans of today, but the countless relatives who once walked this earth, hunted, crafted, survived, and vanished long before our time. Today, we embark on an epic journey spanning millions of years. We will meet the species that shaped our evolution, uncover their lives, and explore the mysteries they left behind. This is the story of all human species. Our story begins in Africa, roughly 2.4 million years ago. A land of endless savannas, scattered trees, and roaming beasts. Here, one of our earliest ancestors took its first steps into history. The Homo habilis, standing about 4.5 feet tall, with long arms that still carried echoes of their ape-like ancestors. Homo habilis moved with a slightly stooped posture, halfway between the trees of the past and the open plains of the future. Their skull was smaller than ours, holding a brain only half the size of a modern human's, about 510 to 600 cubic centimeters. Yet inside that smaller brain lay the spark of something extraordinary. Their face was a fascinating mix of primitive and human traits. A low, sloping forehead, heavy brow ridges, a flat nose, and a strong jaw lined with large teeth built for chewing tough vegetation. But their hands were different. Dexterous, strong, capable of precise grips. Hands not only made for survival, but for shaping the future. They were the first known tool makers. With sharp stone flakes, they cut meat, broke bones for marrow, and carved a place for themselves in a dangerous world. Imagine the first time a Homo habilis held a sharpened stone, realizing it could cut, defend, and transform the world around them. In that moment, nature itself became malleable. The age of tools had begun. About 1.9 million years ago, a new species emerged, Homo erectus. Taller, stronger, and more resilient than their predecessors. They were the first of our kind to truly stand tall on the world stage. They stood nearly as tall as modern humans, with powerful legs built for endurance. Their bodies were lean and athletic, shaped by the demands of long hunts and endless migrations. Their faces carried a blend of primitive strength and emerging humanity. Thick brows, a broad nose, and a jaw built for survival. But what truly set them apart was their mastery of fire. With flames, they brought warmth to the cold, safety against predators, and a new way to cook their food. Fire became the heart of humanity's survival. They crafted tools with greater skill, hand axes, sharp and balanced, weapons of both survival and dominance. Homo erectus were the great travelers. They were the first humans to leave Africa, spreading into Asia and Europe, adapting to new lands and new challenges. For nearly 2 million years they endured, longer than any other human species. Roughly 700,000 years ago, a new species rose in Africa and Europe. Homo heidelbergensis.
We must find shelter before nightfall.
Stronger, smarter, and better hunters than those before them, they stood at the crossroads of our evolutionary path.
Go away.
They were tall and powerfully built, with broad chests and muscular arms. Their strength made them skilled hunters, capable of bringing down large animals in coordinated groups. Their faces were still rugged, with heavy brows and wide noses. Yet behind those eyes, a brain larger than ever before, nearly as big as ours, was beginning to unlock new possibilities. For the first time, humans hunted in organized groups. With wooden spears, they brought down massive prey, sharing the rewards of meat and marrow among their bands. They built simple shelters, huddled around fire, and cared for one another in ways that hinted at the first sparks of human community. From them would come two great legacies. In Europe, they gave rise to the Neanderthals. In Africa, their descendants would become us, Homo sapiens. They were the bridge between what was and what was to come. About 400,000 years ago, in the cold and unforgiving lands of Ice Age Europe, another branch of humanity thrived. The Neanderthals. Shorter and stockier than us, with broad chests and powerful muscles, Neanderthals were built for survival in the frozen landscapes they called home. Their faces were distinct, broad noses to warm frozen air, heavy brows, and strong jaws. Yet behind those rugged features lay intelligence, emotion, and resilience. Neanderthals lived in tight-knit groups. They cared for their sick, protected their young, and shared food, showing bonds of family and community much like our own. They were skilled hunters, able to bring down enormous prey like mammoths with strategy, strength, and teamwork. Their tools were finely made, their control of fire sophisticated. They mastered the harshest environments on Earth, enduring for hundreds of thousands of years.
The wind is too strong.
Recent discoveries reveal they even created art, jewelry, and symbolic markings, proof that their minds reached far beyond survival. But as our own species spread across the world, Neanderthals slowly disappeared, not with a sudden end, but a quiet fading, until only we remained. In the frozen mountains of Siberia lies a cave that would guard a secret for tens of thousands of years. From within its shadows, a new kind of human was revealed, the Denisovans. We know them not from complete skeletons, but from fragments, a tooth, a finger bone, and traces of DNA hidden deep within them. From these tiny clues, scientists reconstructed their image. Tall, powerfully built, with broad faces and strong jaws. In them, we see echoes of Neanderthals and of ourselves. They thrived in high mountains and freezing tundra, surviving where few others could. With fire, tools, and raw endurance, they carved out a life in the harshest of lands. Denisovans were not only survivors, they were creators. They made jewelry from stone and bone, crafting beauty as well as utility. And though they vanished, they did not disappear entirely. Their DNA lives on, in modern people across Asia, Oceania, and the high mountains of Tibet, where their genes help humans breathe thin air. The Denisovans remain one of humanity's greatest mysteries. A people almost lost to time, yet still alive within us, hidden in our very blood. On a remote island in Indonesia, far from the great continents where most of humanity lived, a strange and unique kind of human once thrived, Homo floresiensis. When scientists first uncovered their skull in 2003, they were astonished. This was no ordinary human. It was something entirely different. They stood barely 3.5 feet tall, with long arms and a slight build. An adult floresiensis was smaller than a modern child, earning them the nickname hobbits. Their faces carried primitive traits, a low forehead, a protruding jaw, yet their eyes revealed intelligence and curiosity. They crafted simple stone tools and hunted the animals of their island home, from wild pigs to giant birds. Despite their size, they were skilled survivors. The Liangbua cave became their shelter, their hearth, their world. Within its walls, they lived, hunted, and raised generations. But then, around 50,000 years ago, they vanished. Some believe volcanic eruptions doomed them. Others suggest they met us, Homo sapiens, and could not survive the encounter. Though small in size, their story looms large in the tale of humanity. The hobbits of Flores remind us that evolution weaves many paths, and not all lead to survival. In 2013, deep inside a labyrinth of caves in South Africa, explorers made a discovery that would shake the very foundations of our understanding of humanity. Dozens of ancient bones, strangely human, yet not quite, rested hidden in the chamber. They belonged to a new species, Homo naledi. They stood around 5 feet tall, with long legs built for endurance. Yet their curved fingers betrayed a talent for climbing, a bridge between the trees and the ground. Their skulls were small, less than half the size of ours, but their faces carried a hauntingly familiar look, as if a distant cousin stared back at us across the ages. Even more astonishing, their dead were not scattered. They were placed here deliberately, in what may be the earliest evidence of ritual burial among humans. Above ground, they lived between worlds, walking the savannah like us, yet still climbing trees when danger closed in. But the greatest mystery lies in time. These beings lived only 250,000 years ago, long after many other species were gone. They may have walked the earth alongside our own ancestors. Homo naledi reminds us that the human story is not a straight line. It is a web of species, some vanishing in silence, others leaving clues that force us to rethink what it means to be human. In 2007, deep within Callao Cave in the Philippines, archaeologists unearthed fossils that would add a new chapter to humanity's story. The remains were small, teeth, finger bones, and a few fragments. Yet they spoke volumes. They belonged to a species unlike any seen before, Homo luzonensis. They were tiny, standing barely 4 feet tall, with delicate bodies built for climbing. Their curved toe bones hinted at lives spent moving with ease through the forest canopy. Their faces carried both the old and the new, primitive features mixed with strikingly human expressions, a reminder that evolution does not move in simple steps. In the lush jungles of Luzon, they survived by foraging and hunting small animals. Their world was filled with fruit-bearing trees, rivers rich with fish, and dangers lurking in the shadows. Cut off by oceans, they evolved in isolation. On this island, far from the great migrations of other humans, they carved their own path through time. Yet, like so many of our relatives, they disappeared. No one knows why. What remains are fragments of bone and tooth, whispers of lives once lived. Homo luzonensis reminds us that the human family was never confined to one place. Even on distant islands, humanity found a way and left behind mysteries that continue to inspire wonder. And finally, the Homo sapiens, the modern humans, first appeared in Africa around 300,000 years ago. With tall bodies, rounded skulls, and expressive faces, they carried the spark of something new. From Africa, they spread across the world, reaching every land and leaving no corner untouched. They became the last surviving humans, the storytellers, the dreamers, the ones who would inherit the earth. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.